Hey, welcome back to our YouTube tutorial, and this is yegobox again. And if this is the first time you tuned on this tutorial series, and this is where you can get the best updated latest technology tutorial on our channel. And beside that, we build software we are a software development company, and we have different software projects. And if you need a software project built with our team, please feel free to call us, and I'll be happy to link you with our team. So today's tutorial is just to show you how you can have Laravel up and running. If you don't know about Laravel is a PHP framework for building a modern web application. In this tutorial series, I'll be demonstrating the coolest feature of Laravel and how you can get started as a junior developer on Laravel project. Assume you know what is a PHP and how maybe you have used PHP in your past project, but this PHP was vanilla PHP. But today I'm going to introduce you with a new framework for dealing with PHP stuff. So that framework is called Laravel. So with that, you need to have Composer installed. What is Composer? So Composer is dependency management for Laravel, but for PHP in general, but for this case it is Laravel. So you install it and make sure that you have XAMPP or WAMP, whatever you have, make sure that it is installed on your machine. I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining why you need to have XAMPP and WAMP, because I assume that you already know what those technology are about. So once that is set, now you come to this page and you copy this command and you run inside your CMD or terminal if you are on Linux. So you have it. This command is going to have the Laravel command installed inside our project. So once we have that, we'll be able to run this command. So first of all, I'm going to cd into my document and go to demo, and I'm going to create a simple application for this demo. So I'm going to run this command, Laravel new, and I'm going to add a folder name or project name. So this is going to be the example app. So Laravel new example app, and hit enter on your keyboard, and this is going to scaffold a new Laravel project for us. So once we have Laravel project up and running, we'll be able to start hacking. So while the command is doing its thing, installing Laravel project for us, so let me give you a little bit in some information about Laravel. So in the past, developer used to write code in vanilla PHP. This is to say that PHP that has no framework. So there has a lot of issues, such as managing the security risk, such as having some basic core functionality such as login, logout, session management, accessing to the database, and so forth. All of this work needed to be done by a developer in order to build a website. And on top of that, developers didn't have a way to organize codes in opinionated way or in a standard way that many developers agree on. Let's say that you like to use MVC, which is model view controller, but another developer doesn't care about that at all. For example, a developer may choose to write an application in one file, and this one file can be really big. So another developer can choose to use model view and controller to just have a little bit structure according to his project. But as you can see, that the problem comes when developer need to communicate and have some sort of standard on their code base. So there need to be a way a developer can agree on the standards of how they are going to write their application, and this is where the framework comes to be in place. We need to make sure that we understand where this developer is going to place the controller, where the authentication, which it can be login and registration, is going to take place, and how we are going to deal with sessions, which is way of keeping a user logged in to the system. So with the framework, we have all those problems answered, and we have a clear standard for developers that they can agree on in order to communicate and build software together. So that's why Laravel excel at. By using Laravel, we have all those standards in place. A developer can see code very clearly, and they can easily communicate across the code base. So on top of that, Laravel has a good documentation in terms of like what you want to do, how you want to do it, and when to do it. For example, the start things would be looking the architecture concept of Laravel. So first of all, let's take a look at request lifecycle. So what is request lifecycle? So when you're using a tool in real world like this Laravel framework, so you will start feeling more confident. So if you understand how it works. But in application development has no difference on that. When you understand how your development tools function, you feel more comfortable and confident using them. The goal of this documentation, of course, is just to give you a high-level overview of how the Laravel framework works. By getting to know how the overall framework, everything feels less magical because now you understand how everything comes together. Starting with Laravel Lifecycle overview. The first things you need to understand is the entry point of Laravel. So like any other PHP project, you need to have an index file. So an index file is an entry point for any PHP project, and this is the number one files that a web server is going to visit in order to serve your web pages. This web server can be Apache or NGX. So most of the time a developer really doesn't show this index.php page in the URL, but really basically what happened is that index.php should exist. So that is the basic things. But where does Laravel keep this index.php? It keeps these files within the Bootstrap folder, where it's going to put the first index. And then we have another folder called HTTP, and this is where you keep everything, the kernel, and the kernel is going to be like something that is going to take every incoming request, which can be HTTP endpoint. So like somebody type in the browser, and something that comes in is going to be routed to the kernel. So I'm not going to go how the kernel works by extending whatever, and that's just the first thing. So we have the middleware. The middleware is another part where it's going to say, oh hey, in order to access this route, we need to have the permission. Do you have the permission to access this route? Yes, then move forward. If not, then stop there. We have service provider. Service provider, sort of like, you don't need to know all of this at this point, but you need to understand just like the service provider, so which is more important in bootstrapping action. It's loading the service provider for application, and this service provider are configured within the app.php config/app.php inside your provider. So now we have understanding of our Laravel project and our Laravel project is already scaffolded. Now let's start our Laravel project. So let me do code example app. So code is the VS Code command that I'm using in order to open this folder within the VS Code. Then code example app. Then this command is going to open the VS Code for us. So now what I was explaining is that this folder we have here, the bootstrap, the app, and the config, these are the key points of Laravel project. The more importantly is to understand this app has the HTTP, which is where you're going to have all related controllers. If I can go inside it, we can see that we have the controller inside, and this is where you're going to put the logic to handle the web pages that you have. So let me clean this. So the first things you do when you start your Laravel project is just to do this command, php artisan serve. This command is going to help us to serve or to run our project. You can see that our project is now running on this port 800 and 80,000, and we have our Laravel project up and running. So now once we have that our Laravel project running, now we can be able to run the Laravel project successfully. And that's it for now, getting the basic of what is Laravel and how to get Laravel project up and running. And tomorrow I will be starting with the small steps of how we can understand these files like controller, middleware, the kernel, the models, the provider, the bootstrap, the config, the database, the fabric, the resources, the routes, the storage, and so forth. But don't feel so intimidated for now. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, share to your friends, make sure that we get better, be a software developer that get paid a high income because we have skills. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Subscribe.